Hello and welcome to Commander Cody Podcast Live. I'm reviewing The Mandalorian, Episode 4, Sanctuary. Again, you can catch these videos usually live on Friday mornings, and then I post them to YouTube on my YouTube channel called Toilet Topics. So if you want to like or subscribe, please do that. Share the video. If you have questions, please comment. So let's jump into the episode. So we kind of start off, and these farmers are kind of like harvesting shrimp. And then we show them, they're all kind of happy doing this in this small kind of like fishing village. And then they're being attacked by these like dog looking aliens. And a mother and daughter survive by hiding kind of like under a basket. And that's kind of the cold open. And then we kind of open up to the Mandalorian flying with Baby Yoda, or the baby, because we don't know if he's Yoda or not, but we haven't got a name still. So he's flying in the Razor Crest. He keeps touching buttons, and the Mandalorian's like, hey, don't touch that. And then he touches it, and the whole ship shakes. So I like the back and forth and the comedy they have between each other. So that's really good. I believe they head to a planet called Storgon. I believe that's what the Mandalorian called it. They want to lay low for a while. And so when they land, he's like, hey, stay here, don't touch anything. But of course, Yoda wants to follow him, so he follows him. He kind of goes to a bar, and kind of like how the small city is on the planet. It reminded me of Batuu. And Batuu is the planet that Galaxy Edge is based on. And just how the people were dressed and how they were serving them food and just how they talked, it really reminded me of that. So I don't know if they were trying to get those vibes with this planet or not, but that's what it reminded me of. And one really cool kind of Easter egg was a Lethal cat. And Lethal cats are from Star Wars Rebels, which Dave Filoni, who's kind of helping run the show, or created for his animated show. So it's really cool seeing that in live action. And it gives me hope that we'll see other really cool things with Mandalorians and other stuff that appeared in Rebels will appear in this show. So we get the Mandalorian versus Gina Carano's character, which her name is Cara Dune. They kind of fight, and she thought he was after her because she left the Empire after the Battle of Endor. She didn't want to be a part of it anymore because that's not what she signed up for. Because they became more like thugs, even though the Empire was always kind of evil, but they became eviler, I think, after it fell because they were like warlords and stuff like that. So they kind of fight, and they come to an understanding and kind of like a truce. And then the Mandalorian's about to, at his ship, about ready to leave because he doesn't want to be on the same planet as her because it's only big enough for one planet for one person to hide away at. But then these farmers kind of come and ask for his help. And at first he's not going to do it, but then they say, hey, it's in the middle of nowhere. So that kind of piques his interest. So he decides to go and help them. He also gets Cara Dune to come help him. And so he kind of, Baby Yoda is playing with the kids, and the Mandalorian kind of explains that we find out some of his backstory, that he's not actually a Mandalorian. His parents were killed, and the Mandalorians took him in. And I'm guessing that's what foundlings are. So maybe when they talk about the Great Purge, I'm thinking that a lot of the actual blood Mandalorians that were born on the planet were killed. And the ones that they find are like these kind of orphans that they train to be the Mandalorian culture. So that was really cool to get some good backstory about that. And then we find out, because they're going to help try to save these farmers, they find out that at ATST, the bad guys or the bandits have one of those. And that kind of left me with a big question, how'd they get that? So, especially this is supposed to be a backwater planet where there's not a lot of cities. And then so at first they're like, hey, we got to leave. There's no way we're going to be able to fight this thing. But then all the villagers are like, this is our home. We got to stay and fight. So they decide to stay and fight. And they do this kind of, not like a training montage, but kind of. And it reminded me of Mulan a little bit because they have the sticks and they're doing all these training techniques. So that was really cool. And then, so we have the Mandalorian and Cara. They go in kind of to the camp to lure the ATST to come and attack them. They take out some of the dog-like bandits. As they're coming back, there's a really cool shot of the ATST kind of rising up, and it has red eyes, and when it's dark and all the forest, it looks really cool, really good cinematography, and just how the shot came together, and it was running after them. So I love that. That was like one of my favorite parts of the episode, just the chase, and then just like the terror of the ATST just seemed so much more menacing in this episode than it did even like in Return of the Jedi on Endor. Then we kind of, they go back and forth. The villagers are defending it. Kara, she takes the Mandalorians, and we find out that the rifle is called a pulse rifle. She takes that, kind of lures it, the ATST, because they're wanting it to get into the water, because they've done like a trench, I guess, to make it kind of sink down. And eventually, it falls to the trap. It falls down. The Mandalorian runs up, throws a grenade in, blows up. They're all safe. And then we kind of get a little bit more about the Mandalorian saying that, he's not allowed to take his helmet off, because if he takes it off, he can never put it back on. So I'm guessing this is like a new code of the Mandalorians just to protect themselves from the Great Purge, because in Clone Wars and Rebels, they took their helmets off all the time. So something must have changed, and I think we're going to get the answers to that in this show. I don't know this season, but at least next season, we might get that. And then it kind of elaborates that they've been there for a couple of weeks, so everything seems fine. And the Mandalorian's about to leave Baby Yoda there, and he's like, hey, this will be a better life for him. But then a bounty hunter kind of shows up, and Kara takes him out. But, he kind of realizes, like, he'll never be safe here. So I guess, they're going to move on, and Kara and the Mando kind of separate, and then the Mandalorian and one of the village, one of the mothers, they kind of had like almost like a little connection, but they kind of separate as well, and then they're kind of leaving, and the last shot is Yoda kind of looking back at the kids that he was playing with. So a really great episode. I still think I like episode 3 better. This wasn't a bad episode. It just kind of started off a little slower, but it had a really good plot and story building, and just a little bit more of the origin story of the Mandalorian. So I really like that. We're getting more characters besides just the Mandalorian, so it's kind of cool just to him interacting with other characters. Some of my thoughts, I think he's going to have to find a way to try to remove that tracking fob. I don't really know how that technology works yet, but it seems like he's going to have to take it to some kind of slicer to that way he can remove that, so he doesn't have all these people coming after him, because I think it's just going to become worse and worse, and they're going to have top bounty hunters like coming after him, and the remnants of the Empire. So very great episode. I hope you enjoy. Again, this is the Commander Cody podcast live. I post it first here, usually on Friday mornings when a new episode drops, and then I also post it later in the day on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Until next time, take it easy.